Hello and welcome back to the process. It is currently 5:40 in the morning. I'm still in my pajamas and I probably sound a little bit croaky because this is my first time talking for the day, but the whole family is still asleep and I thought, why not? I'm up and I have this idea that I really want to talk about. And I think that's the whole point of this podcast is for me to talk about things as they're happening and talk through my thoughts and talk through my process of learning and unlearning and all of that good stuff. So I have been connecting with an old friend of mine over the past couple of months, and we've been sending voice notes back and forth to each other whenever we have time. And there's this concept that came up this week that I heard for the first time a few years ago, but it was brought back to the surface this week. And the way that we were talking about it was really resonating for both of us in different ways. And so I thought maybe it could resonate for you as well. And this concept is around the idea of putting in the reps. And I think when we hear that term, putting in the reps, I know, at least for me, I immediately thought of going to the gym. You have to put in the reps, you have to lift the weights in order to get stronger. That's pretty obvious that you can't go into the gym and just pick up 30 kilos and start lifting it above your head like it's nothing. You have to start from something small and do the reps and eventually get stronger, and then you can continue to increase the weights over time. And that's kind of been my only association with that phrase for, I don't know, most of my life, I guess. And then probably a few years ago, I heard someone say it in relation to learning a new skill that was a soft skill. I think it had to do with public speaking, actually, that he needed to put in the reps, that he needed to keep doing it over and over so that he could get better, that he could build the muscle of public speaking and eventually be able to flex it and it be stronger and it be easier for him. And it truly blew my mind to hear it put in this way because it makes so much sense. But I think because it's something that's not as outwardly visible, it doesn't seem as real, or I don't know, maybe it seems like there's skills that make sense for you to practice to get better at, but then there's other skills that we just assume that we need to be good at. And I don't think public speaking is the best example because, of course, public speaking is challenging. There's a reason why. It's one of the number one fears of humans, but it's still something where it's not as outwardly visible that you need to practice. But I mean, this could be applied to anything, really. And that's what I want to talk about today is that you can think of this concept of I need to put in the reps and apply it to quite literally any skill that you can think of that you want to get better at. So whether it is cooking or running or even writing, or it could be, I don't know, how to run a Facebook ad or how to meditate or how to read faster. I don't know. It could be anything. But in order to get good at something, you have to start by being bad at it, and you have to be willing to put in the reps. And this is what I was talking with my friend about yesterday. And she had said that it's crazy how we have this idea as humans that we have these things that we're naturally good at. We have this innate ability at certain skills. And then there's all these other skills that we don't have an innate ability in, but we have this false belief that if we aren't good at something right away, then it must not be meant for us. It must not be something that we're meant to be doing. When in reality, we can do whatever the heck we want. We just have to be willing to put in the reps. We just have to be willing to be okay with being bad at whatever the thing is And probably with it taking a lot longer than we think or than we want to get to a point where we're any good at it. But we're not really conditioned to think that way. We're conditioned to think, like I said, that you either have it or you don't, which in reality is a pretty fixed mindset. It's a pretty fixed way of thinking that things are either for you or they're not for you. But I think it makes sense. I mean, that's honestly been my pattern for most of my life. I think most of the activities that I chose as a kid and now even as an adult up until the last couple of years have been largely chosen by the fact that I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. And I tend to shy away from the things that I know that I'm not good at because it's not fun to be horrible at something. It's not exciting. It's not rewarding. There's no real visible upside to it at the beginning. And so it makes sense that most people don't really push into things that they're not good at and push through that slog of being horrible at whatever the thing is. But if you can put in the reps, then by default, you're going to get better. If you keep doing it, despite the fact that you suck, eventually it would be unreasonable for you to not get better at it. It would be completely unreasonable for you to not improve, especially if you're doing the same thing over and over and over. And the more that I think about this, the more that it blows my mind, and in talking to my friend, has blown her mind as well. And for me, it's been more applied to, I think, these business ideas that I have where I wanted to start a speech therapy business, but I didn't know how to do any of those things. I didn't know how to have a profit and loss statement or manage money coming in, or how do I even set up a business bank account, which now that I've done all those things, I'm like, oh, all of that is pretty straightforward. But at the time, I didn't have those skills. And at the time, I had convinced myself that, well, I've never done it before. I don't really know that many people that have started a business, and there's so many things involved with it. And I'm not good at those things. So I probably just can't do it. Whereas now, I mean, I'm still very much at the beginning. I'm only 6 months in, really. And now starting this coaching business, I'm still right at the beginning, but I'm seeing a lot more clearly now that with any kind of skill that I look at and go, I'm not good at that, instead of going, okay, well, I guess that's not meant for me, I'm going, well, I wonder how many reps it's going to take for me to get over this fear, or to get good, or to just shift my narrative from I can't do this to I can't do this yet, or it's actually not as big of a thing as I had created it to be in my mind, and that I can be okay with working through it and just trusting the process and letting it kind of unfold however it's going to, knowing that I'm going to continue showing up and putting in the reps. And that's been similar for my friend, but for her, it's been more personal around things like meditation, like I mentioned earlier. And she shared this with me yesterday, and I thought it was so powerful because, again, I had really only been thinking about it in more of like a professional business sense, but it truly applies to anything. If you meditate for long enough, if you keep doing it every single day for a year, for 500 days, of course you're going to get better at it. And so she said something really powerful to me where she said, instead of getting upset about the fact that I haven't had results in 7 days or 14 days, I can shift that to saying, I'm 7 days closer to being good. I'm 7 days in. I'm 7 days closer to getting to where I want to be. And again, that seems like such a simple reframe, but it is so powerful. Think about how much more motivating it feels to go, wow, I'm 7 days closer than I was before. So if I keep going for another 7 days, think about how much closer I'm going to be again, as opposed to thinking, oh God, I've been doing this for 7 days and nothing's changed. What's the point? I might as well just give up because I'm never going to get there. And this roadblock and this roadblock and this roadblock, all these things are going to happen that are going to make it harder for me to get there. I mean, I'm guilty of thinking that way. I've definitely thought that way lots of times. But here's this option to think in a different way of going, I'm a little bit closer than I was. I've gone through these reps and they were horrible, but I've been through them. And now I can do another one and it's probably going to be a little bit better. And each time I do it, I'm going to learn and I can adapt and I can course correct towards whatever the goal is. And again, I think it's such a freeing feeling. It's so liberating to go, it's all right that I'm not good at this yet. That's actually part of it. Something that I have heard time and time again recently is failure is a prerequisite to success. You can't get to success without failing first. So with that logic, realistically, I should be pursuing failure. I should be looking for it. I should be reaching for it and trying to fail as many times as I can, as fast as I can, so that I can get to success. Isn't that crazy? Even saying it now, like I have goosebumps. I think it's so powerful. What a way to approach something, to go, how fast can I mess this up? How fast can I act so that I can make a mistake and get feedback and then do something differently next time that might work a little bit better, or actually it might be even worse, but I'm going to learn from that too. And I'm going to be able to take a slightly different direction and keep going. And I'm going to keep putting in the reps. I'm going to keep lifting the weight and do the hard thing and do the thing that scares me. Because ultimately, if I do so many reps, if you lift that weight 10,000 times in a row, it would be unreasonable to think that you wouldn't get better, that you wouldn't get stronger. And so if we can apply that to the gym so easily, and I know that there's still all these other blocks that can come up when you go to the gym or, when you're working on your fitness, but the logic still applies. If you can get yourself to do it, if you can be okay with the fact that you're going to suck, that it's not going to be as easy as you think, and that it's going to take longer than you think, but if you can be okay with that and just do it anyway and commit to the process and commit to being bad, then at some point it's going to change. And at some point you're going to start getting better and you're going to be able to level up. You're going to be able to pick up a heavier weight or do a scarier thing, trusting that, well, I've done this before. I've flexed this muscle before in a smaller way. I lifted the 3 kilo weight. And so now I'm going to lift the 5 kilo one. And I really wanted to share this today because this is exactly what I'm doing in recording this podcast right now at 6:00 in the morning. This is me practicing what I preach and practicing this skill of showing up and putting in a rep and trusting that a year from now, when I look back on this episode, I'm probably going to, I'm probably not even going to want to listen to it if I'm being completely honest with you. But that's the whole point, right? If I don't look back in a year and go, wow, this is embarrassing, compared to the stuff that I'm creating now. If I'm not doing that, that means I haven't put in enough reps. And how empowering is it to think that if I keep going from this moment, exactly this moment in time, and I keep doing the thing and I keep hitting record, even when my voice sounds groggy, even when I don't have an idea fully formed in my mind, that I'm going to get better at it. And I think that's Really, really cool. So here is to the process. Here's to doing the reps. Here's to showing up and being bad at something and being okay with it and knowing that every time you put in a rep, you are one rep closer to whatever that outcome is that you're chasing, whatever that goal is that you have in your mind that maybe you've been putting off for the last couple of years because you're scared as shit and you don't think you're going to be good at it. So you're scared to start. Or you've told yourself that, well, this goal, this thing, this dream, this skill isn't for me because I don't know how to do it right now. Here's to doing it anyway. Here's to letting fear come along for the ride and trusting that if you put in enough reps, you're gonna get there. And let me be living proof for you right now. If you're listening to this and it's anytime later in the future, hopefully, you can listen to a later episode and see how much I have improved in this specific skill. But I hope that you do the same for yourself because life's too short to let these stories stop us from going after what we really want. And I think we deserve to at least give ourselves a chance to try to at least, put in some reps and see what happens. See if you can get some feedback from yourself or from others. And then just keep iterating, just keep moving, just keep putting in the reps. So I hope that was helpful. Wherever you find yourself today, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, your night, your morning, if you're listening to this in the morning like I'm recording it. And I can't wait to catch you on the next one.